Reading from Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, verse 8. Bhagavad Gita, chapter 4, and the verse number is 8. Let me know when everyone has it. Those who don't have the Bhagavad Gita physical copy, you can go on vedabase.io and you can look up for the chapter number 4 and the verse number 8. Let me know when everyone is ready. Just an hour ahead will be good. Good? Okay? Alright. Very, very common words. You might have heard about this. Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chaduskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinasaya chaduskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Pavitranaya sadhunam vinasaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Would someone like to try?
Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
You can go ahead now. Yeah. Yes.
Paritranaya sadhunam
vinashaya cha duskritam
dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Would anyone else like to try?
Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Anyone else? Okay.
Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha duskritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
Hare Krishna. So we'll read the translation. To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I myself appear millennium after millennium. So this is Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita that you might have, most of you. And he is one of the profound Acharya who has given us quite in-depth knowledge about what we are going to be reading. And one of a very special incarnation he talks about is Parashurama. Tomorrow being Akshaya Tritiya, it is not only a very auspicious day for giving donations, but it's also a very auspicious day for the reason that one of the incarnations of the Lord, among the 10 avatars, one of the avatars of the Lord, Parashurama, took birth, or he incarnated, right? As it is mentioned here, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. So, does anyone know, like, what's the most significant sign if you want to identify Lord Parashurama? Parshu?
Oh, the axe. Sorry.
Yeah, oh, that's good. So, who said Parshu? Nice, okay. So, I didn't know the meaning of Parshu until a few years back, so thank you. I just wanted to appreciate that you could relate to what the term is. So, Parshu means what? Axe, right? So, Parashurama. Anyone knows who his father was? Yes. So one of these 7 Saptarishis, one of them being Jamadagni, is his father and his mother. Anyone knows the name? Yes, Renuka. So he is also known as Renuka Sutta for that reason. But when it comes to the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, when we chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, that Ram also encompasses Parashurama. Also Lord Ram and also Balaram. But definitely all the one who are pleasing are called Ram in that way, and Lord Ram, as in Parashurama, is also one of them. Okay? So I wanted to first get a little bit more of a background and a story of Lord Parashurama from Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam is one of the encyclopedia which talks about all the incarnations of the Lord, but it also gives a practical learning lesson at each step. Like whatever we learn in Bhagavad Gita, the practical story application of that will be seen in Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam in the 9th canto, other than the first canto where the Lord is explaining about Prabhupada is explaining about Parashurama, in the 9th canto there is a vivid description of the whole pastime. So we'll talk about that a little bit. Yes, as we talked about Parashurama, Lord Parashurama had how many other brothers? Anyone knows? 2 or 3 other brothers. Okay, he had 3 other brothers. He was the youngest of all. And Jamadagni, the great saint, he had a very nice cow. And anyone knows what that cow's name was? Surabhi cow. Okay. So he had the Surabhi cow. Okay. And this cow could give anything, not Surabhi, Kamadenu. Yes, Kamadenu. Kamadenu cow. And basically this cow could give you anything what you like. Okay? So if you're sitting in the ashram and like Jamadagni was, and if you request that, I want golden pot to have the ghee inside it so that I can offer it to the oblation when it comes to the sacrifice, he can get that. If he wants something like, I want mangoes to offer to the Lord, he'll be able to get that. Of course, he was not someone who was living only in the jungle in an ashram just to make show and was living very opulently. He was someone who was living very, very simply. Simple living, high thinking. And he had this cow because he had done so many austerities and he was so austere that he could kind of have this cow. Now, one of the days when he was just doing his activities where he was in his ashram, there was a king in that particular kingdom by the name, anyone knows the name? Where I'm going with the story? No? Okay. What's that? Yeah, close enough. He had that many arms. Yes, Kartavirya Arjuna. Oh. Yes. So the king's name was Kartavirya Arjuna, and the king had a mission to go to somewhere, and during his mission on the way, he kind of ended up near the ashram, and he was hungry. And he had his army, and it was also okay, we need something to eat. 10,000 of his sons were along with him too. So, it's quite a feat, 10,000 sons. Prabhupada said that once that people nowadays feel that even just having one son or daughter and having their house run, the person thinks they're like King Daksha, like they've accomplished everything. But back in the day, 10,000 sons. But at the same time, they had the capacity to take care of each individual son and not leave them rogue or leave them like unattended. So I guess there is a famous statement, right? With position comes power, right? So in the same way, being a king, he had that position, but he also had that power to have 10,000 sons. But not only that, there was a bigger family he had too, which was his praja, or like his whole reign that he was ruling. So when he came, the king was greeted quite nicely. King being a Kshatriya, he also reciprocally greeted the saint. And after that, understanding, because the king was like a guest. So at that time, he said, "Thank you for hosting me. Is it possible for us to have a meal?" And sure enough, it was the responsibility of the host. So Jamadagni and Renuka were pretty much starting on their way to do what they had to prepare the meal. While they were doing that, of course, they took the help of Kamadeni. So the number of preparations and the opulence in which the king was served, the king was amazed. And it struck his curiosity that, oh wow, how is it possible that you're living in this jungle and you could have so many things that are so opulent that even in the kingdom, it's hard for me to kind of get on a regular basis. So that curiosity led to something which is the kind of whole pastime we're going to talk about, which is the king got attracted to the Kamadeni cow. And he's like, oh, what do you need the cow for? It's only once in a while that someone like myself would come to your ashram. Why would you? You're already living simply. You're not going to be using the opulence the cow can provide you with. Why bother? I want it, give it to me. And Rishi Jamadagni was not willing to do so, because it was something which was given to him and he wanted to kind of keep it in the service of the Lord. And as I said earlier, he was not trying to use that for his own sake. He was using it for the sake of the service that he was providing, right? So in the same way, just a side note, when it comes to Lakshmi, Lakshmi belongs to Narayan, yes, or Krishna, or Lakshmi, Narayan, right? Together, they are always together. So whatever hard-earned Lakshmi or money we get, we somehow or the other should try our best to incorporate that in the service of the Lord. It could be in one way or the other facilitating our service the better way to the Lord. And this is one of the biggest lessons from Bhagavad Gita. Did Arjuna give up fighting after hearing the Bhagavad Gita? No. Okay, good. So in the same way, after we hear Bhagavad Gita, we should not be renouncing the world and going to the jungle. We will be still living in this world. In fact, people like to work. I know of like so many devotees who are like, yeah, it's a passion, I wake up to this every day. But when it comes to that, it is also something that we have to rightfully utilize in the service of the Lord. And that's the skill that we have to generate. In fact, to a certain extent, that's the actual karma yoga, which transforms into bhakti yoga. So you should give what you can, but even better, that makes you feel like a little bit of a pinch. And that's when you'll understand its importance. So there are many n number of places where you could give. But if you give things in the service of the Lord, then sure enough it has more edifying effect. For example, if there is dal, rice has to be there or no? Okay, alright. So those who eat rice and dal kind of quite often, maybe they'll say yes. But yes, dal in itself would have its benefit, right? But when you combine both, there is a synergy. And there is the proper nutrients you get from the dal as well as the rice. In the same way, when you put the service towards the Lord, when you put the heart and money towards the service of the Lord, it definitely has more synergy, it has no karma, and it is going to be in your eternal bank balance. So this is just a side note. But this is what happened with Jamadagni and Kartavirya Arjuna, that the king wanted the cow. And so, sure enough, he had a big army. By force, he took the cow. Okay? Now, this is where we can understand where the Lord needs to establish something quite specific in terms of, the religious principles. So, Kshatriya is overpowering the Brahmana. In the Varnashrama system, the Brahmana is the head, the Kshatriya is the limbs, upper body, the, what's the next one? Vaishya, thank you, is the kind of belly, and then the Shudra are the legs, right? And in a way, in a society, all four needs to be there so that the society can run smoothly. Even nowadays, that happens. There is, philosophers or scientists who usually say this is good, this is not good. And then based on that, many things pursue or follow that. And then there is also the leaders, not the same caliber as the leaders that we had in the past. And we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. And then we have the mercantile community, like they are good into business and things like that. And then we have the Shudra, who are those who kind of work around under the mercantile leaders, or the political leaders, or the Brahmanas, or the philosophical individuals. So this was disturbed. And when this was disturbed, this is where Lord Parashurama's role come into picture. Okay, so now, as the Kamadhenu cow is being taken, of course, Jamadagni gets very angry. And because he gets angry, what he ends up doing is tells Parashurama to take some action. So, Parashurama is in a battle. And if you want to read a little bit more in detail, Srimad Bhagavatam has the whole battle described properly. So, what happens is, there are Akshaya okay, how do I say it? I can't say it the right way, the pronunciation. Akshayani, in terms of the number of how many chariot drivers, how many elephant drivers, how many people on feet, like all the pawns, all of them would be there in one particular group, would be counted as one Akshayani. And there were such tens of hundreds of Akshayani, and all of them were destroyed just by one Parashurama. And then the king got was very angry. So this is where we understand how back in the day, the king would take the front seat. The king would end up, not just sitting back and ordering that, oh, you should do this quarrel, or you should fight here, or you should do that. But the king actually would come down and be in the battlefield. Like we see as Arjuna did in the battlefield too, or the Pandavas did in the battlefield too. So Kartavya Arjuna comes down in the battlefield, and as our new guest today was saying, that he had 10,000 arms, and he fought with all those 10,000 arms. Okay? And on the other side, it was only one, which was Lord Parashurama. He at once shot that many arrows that he could with all his limbs. Okay? So definitely 10,000 of them. And Lord Parashurama was able to, it is mentioned in Bhagavatam, at the speed of mind and wind, he pretty much destroyed all those arrows. And after destroying all those arrows, he ended up getting more angry because he had so much of back and forth with the king. And the king, also being angry, started uprooting trees and all of that and started throwing them towards Parashurama. As he was doing that, he destroyed all of them, and sure enough, he chopped off all the limbs of Kartavya Arjuna. And the next thing he did was he chopped off Kartavya Arjuna's head. Okay? So, seeing this, the 10,000 sons of Kartavya Arjuna fled the scene. They were like, oh, we cannot handle this. And got the, Lord Parashurama got the Kamadhenu back and brought it to the ashram. After bringing it back to the ashram, Jamadagni was introspecting, and introspectingly he said, actually, it was a Brahmana's duty that we should have served them, and we could have let him have the cow. We didn't have to kill him. So my dear son, you go and repent for your sin, and you finish doing all your austerity. So he ended going for a lot of austerity. Now here one thing important to see is that Jamadagni ended up sending his son for some mistake which was genuine, but at the same time to control the anger, he was teaching him that lesson. Right? And then when Lord Parashurama was not present, at that time the 10,000 sons of Kartavya Arjuna wanted to take a revenge. So they ended up, doing something that they should have not done. Okay? But before this happened, there is a very interesting pastime, and which many of you might have heard about. So, one day, as usual, Mother Renuka was going to collect the water from the river. And when she was going to pick up some water from the river, she saw some heavenly personalities enjoying their pastime. And Renuka, just for a split of a second in her mind, thought of having that pleasant kind of exchange with the celestial being. And this was just in the mind, it was not even executed. But because she thought about that for a second, and by the time she was walking back, she was already late for the evening water, fresh water that they needed for the sacrifice or the daily duties. So she already knew that she's done something wrong mentally. And she went in front of her husband, placed the water there, and just kind of stood with folded hands. As she did that, Jamadagni knew already what had happened, because he could understand just from the demeanor of this his wife, but also from knowing what he could kind of see with his mystical powers. So when this happens, he gets very angry. He doesn't speak a word to Renuka and just ends up, asking the first son to kill his mother. So now here comes the anger again, but this anger is not checked. Even though Jamadagni knew all this, he did not check his anger. And he tells his son to kill his mother. The first son says, "No, father, I cannot do it." The second son, "Sorry, beyond my scope. And it's actually my mother, how can I do this?" The third son, the same thing. And then comes Lord Parashurama. Now, Parashurama was so calm in the whole circumstance of all this happening. He already knew that my father is angry. Okay, in this situation, what could happen? If I say no, like my three brothers, he's going to get more angry. And he's going to do something which is going to be not good for him, nor would be good for like anyone else, because he'll get much more of a wrath and he'll continue on. But he trusted his father's, mystical power and his austerity he had done. So he thinks quite wisely that, okay, I'll follow my father's advice, but I know that he'll be pleased when I do that, because other three brothers were not doing that and he was not pleased. So because he knew that his father is going to please and he'll be giving him a boon, I have a way out of this, is what he said. So what ends up happening is, he's like, sure enough, he cuts his mother's head off. Not only that, the father was so angry that he's like, also chop off your three brothers' head. So all four, like it's like pretty much a slaughterhouse, one after the other. All four are dead. And then the moment he does that, he's still not angry, by the way. He is fully composed in the situation. The moment that happens, he goes and says, "My dear father, I did what you said." And the father is pleased. So when the father is pleased, it's like, "Yes, ask me a boon, whatever you like." And the first thing he says, "Please bring them back and make them forget what exactly happened. Because I don't want to live with that, memory that I killed them. Or they should not live with the memory that I killed them." So, sure enough, Jamadagni was quite pleased that he saw this happening. And he pretty much said, "Yes, I'll revive them back." And then they continue on with their services as usual. Now, at some point in time, the Kartavya Arjun's 10,000 son planned this in a way when Lord Parashurama is not present, and they end up killing Jamadagni, okay, and taking his head to the kingdom. So the head is not to be found while he's sitting in that kind of meditative pose. And so from distance, Renuka screams, "O Ram, O Ram," and he sure enough heard, and he runs to the scene and he sees this has happened. So, at that point in time, Lord Parashurama took up a role of becoming a Kshatriya. And he ends up killing all the 10,000 sons of Kartavya Arjuna. Not only that, after doing that, he wiped off 21 generations of Kshatriyas. Now, this can be quite hard to understand, but he did that on a purpose, and the purpose was what we just read as the first verse: to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. So Lord Parashurama, in fact, met so many incarnations of Lord. In fact, he's still living now, right? He is not dead and gone, or he's not back to his planet or anything like that. He's actually sitting at a certain place. I'll talk about that as we come across that part in a second. But he killed 21 generations of Kshatriyas just because the Kshatriyas were not following the religious principles. Like one of such example is what we know, the 10,000 sons, how they deceivingly killed the Brahmana. So after doing this 21 times, or even before that, actually, after killing the 10,000 sons, actually, he brings the head back of his father, and he also does the proper sacrifice. And with the sacrifice, he ends up actually reviving his father as well. And this is where I would like to take a pause and read one of a very nice prayer, which I would like you all to repeat with me. And this prayer is particularly the Dasa Avatar Stotram, where we read Jayadev Goswami's prayer. Okay? So please try and repeat after me. Kshatriya Rudhira Mae Jagat Agapate Papam. That's right. Kshatriya Rudhira Mae Jagat Apagate Papam. Again. Kshatriya Rudhira Mae Jagat Apagata Papam. Snapayasi payasi samita bhavatapam. Snapayasi payasi samita bhavatapam. This one's easy. Keshavadvita Bhrugupati Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Keshavadvita Bhrugupati Rupa Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Jaya Jagadisha Hare. So we'll read the translation. O Keshava, O Lord of the universe, O Lord Hari, who have assumed the form of Bhrigupati, Parashurama. So again, this is one of the other name. He comes into Bhrigu dynasty, so he's called Bhrigupati. All glories to you. At Kurukshetra, you bathed the earth in the rivers of blood from the bodies of the demonic Kshatriyas that you have slain. The sins of the world are washed away by you, and because of you, people are relieved from the blazing fire of material existence. Okay? So, it is not just an exaggeration. Actually, there were rivers of blood. When we talked about those Akshayoni armies, like we are talking about millions and millions of living entities. Horses, elephants, humans, all of them. So all of them were slain, and then 21 times killing all of this Kshatriyas was also kind of pretty much creating so many rivers just full of blood. So when Parashurama had to revive his father with the yajna, he took his father's head, put it back on in the body that was still sitting upright but without the head, and then he was able to revive his father. It sounds quite ghastly, but this is the incarnation of the Lord which, did what was needful in that particular age. If today someone picks up their axe and start doing that, it has no, spiritual backing at all. because we are all a mix of Vaishya, Shudra, Kshatriya, Brahmana, all of that, right? It is not particular to this age. For this age, Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama Kevalam, Kalo Vanaste, Vanaste, Vanaste Vagatir Anyatha, which is in the age of Kali or in the age of quarrel, there is no other means, there is no other means, there is no other means, then, what is it? Okay. What's the word that we used? Hare Nam. Nam. The name of the Lord. So the mantras that we chant, that's why the mantra that we chant, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, is nothing but Hare is the energy of the Lord, the one you see on the left side of the Lord, right, in Radha Krishna's picture. So we are asking her blessing, Hare, O Mother Radharani, please give us some service to your Lord. Hare Krishna. Krishna is all attractive, right? And then Hare Ram, right? Hare, again the energy of the Lord. Rama is Lord Ram, Lord Parashurama, Lord Balram. But also, what is Ram? I used the word like half an hour ago or so. What is the meaning of the word Ram? The one who pleases. Is that what you were going to say? Sorry, I saw the hand a few seconds after. Yes. So, not only Lord did what he was supposed to for the age what he was doing, but also he established the religion. Right? Okay. Now, what happens after this is that Jamadagni gets a permanent position somewhere. And that permanent position that he achieves is the position as one of the Saptarishis. All of you might have heard of Saptarishis, right? Yeah. Sapta means 7 rishis. And where do we find them? Sorry? Where do we find them? In the sky, yes. Do we see them every day? Ideally, they are present there. And that's how the north and south and all what we use nowadays, as in like the current GPS, or there are 10 directions by the way, right? All of you are aware of 10 directions or only 4 directions? How many directions? Okay, let's problem solve them. 4 are easy, straightforward. Kids, maybe would know 4. Anyone? Okay, adults? I'm losing my hope now. We're struggling with the first 4. Come on, all of you know them. Alright, so those originally, the maps and everything, they always go by the constellations. And the Saptarishi, the constellation that we know is how the directions were planned. Modern day, they say that they don't take credit for this, but actually that's a fact. And that's kind of one of the reasons why Madagascar. Who is this individual? Madagascar. Thank you. Yeah, he discovered India instead of America. Is everyone aware of that part? Hello? Okay. Vasco da Gama. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. So, but even when it comes to going to US, who went to US first and then said they are Indians? Columbus. Okay, I was thinking about Columbus altogether. That was the personality. But yeah, Columbus did not end up using the proper, directions from the constellation, and that's where he ended up in America and named them as in Indians. Anyhow, this is just a side story. So, one of the rishis is Jamadagni, and then the 4 directions we talked are north, east, west, south, and then anyone knows the other directions?
The ones in
The ones in the middle?
Yeah, so southwest.
Okay. Right? So that ends up being 8. Nice. And then? Up and down. Right? No, that's how the dimensions are, and we don't realize that, but that's the fact. Right? So, and that's where the theories that we know of, like flat earth and all of that, are totally something which goes beyond the scope of what we know from the Vedas. Right? So, yeah. Okay, so now here I'm going to take a small pause and just ask for few reflections and questions. Reflections are easy because most of you might relate to them, given something that you might have heard that might have stood out. But questions are also welcome. I can give you the mic so that it can be circulated. There's one here as well. There's one here as well. Any reflections? Anything that you'd like to share?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
I like to discourse quite a bit. I had a question regarding Bharatvarsh, and I know it means the entire planet from Shastra, but regarding the ancient name of India itself, that is the first question. How it curtails, and after Krishna leaves the planet, I've read that Dharma fragments into individual nation states. You have individual nations, and the way we are living presently. Your thoughts on that? How Dharma is fragmented, like over time, and then decadence, and then different races. Because I've heard from one Prabhu who was part of ISKCON also, that the Caucasian race were the Kshatriyas who were driven out by Parashurama, and then who were cursed. So this had me thinking as to like the different races and how they curtail to how the whole world was once under one benevolent dictatorship. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. So, all glories to Prabhupada. What I'm going to share, yes, there are quite a few different understanding on this, but our backing always should be based on the Shastra that we read, and if it's coming in the disciplic succession. So yes, Aryans as a race is something which is mentioned a lot in Srila Prabhupada's books. And he mentions about Aryan being like a progressive race. That's why I'm pretty sure you might have heard this in many different places. Even in Bhagavad Gita, there are a few verses where it is used Arya. And Arya is a term which is nothing but, indicating that Aryan, as in civilization. But Aryan means progressive. Now, here's a fascinating word which I would say you can put in context to the words that we just read. In the purport by Srila Prabhupada, in the words that we read, Parithanaya Sadhunam, the first line itself, Prabhupada says, according to Bhagavad Gita, a sadhu, holy man is a man in Krishna consciousness. And person may appear to be irreligious, but if he has the qualifications of Krishna consciousness wholly and fully, he is understood to be a sadhu. And this is kind of what a progressive aspect of what is mentioned when it comes to Aryans. So, yes, there are Aryans and there are non-Aryans. And when it comes to categorization like that, it's the same categorization as what we would know when it comes to the current understanding of like not, just giving names to individuals and saying that, oh, you're Aryan or not Aryan. But Aryan is anyone who is progressive in their life towards the spiritual journey. Those are the individuals that are called Aryans. When it comes to Parashuram's wrath and people running away from it, there is no clear description that I'm able to find. I did some research on that today as well, but I'm not denying that. But there is also mention of Turkey and Greece being the two places when one of the other kings in the Bharatvarsha, in fact his sons, when they were not willing to hear or follow the progressive path, the Aryan path, they were told to move out. And that's where Turkey comes, or Egypt as well, sorry. Egypt, a little bit of understanding of Turkey, and a bit of Greece also comes into picture from that. But again, we can leave this to the sociologist and the anthropologist if they want to do the research on that. But from the simplest understanding, when it comes to Lord Krishna leaving the planet, that is where we know that the sages of Naimisharanya sat down, and in order to do something good for the community, for the Kali Yuga to be pushed back, that's when they ended up sitting down and discussing about the whole current situation of like what's going on and what should be done and how should we try and kind of push back Kali Yuga. That is where the Srimad Bhagavatam was being discussed. That's one place. Then the other place where Srimad Bhagavatam was being discussed was between Sukadeva Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So the whole purpose of in the current age of Kali, when everything is disintegrated, is more or less, in one way or the other, connecting at the level of us understanding that we as an individual might be in any kind of, form of the Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, like or any Varna or any ashram, but our progressive path should be devotion towards the Lord. And that is what we have to work on. And that's where I mentioned about the Kali Yuga having the main or the most important part, which is Hare Nam, Hare Nam, Hare Nam Eva Kevalam.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhu. So essentially, you're saying that there's no hope in the Kali Yuga for any macro dharmic system to be established. So the only thing we can focus on is ourselves. So micro dharma, swadharma, as opposed to, because macro dharma is essentially completely gone.
When it comes to dharma, if you understand the definition of dharma, that's where a lot of what you're saying can be easily broken down. Dharma doesn't mean that Christian faith, Hindu faith, Muslim faith, or ISKCON faith, or none of that.
Yeah, I know.
Dharma ends up being as a duty of an individual. So you as an individual, you are not this body, you are the Jivatma. And when you are the Atma's duty is to serve the Paramatma, the Supreme Lord. It is not that the Atma's duty is ending up being, I have to do like this religion or that religion.
But even those religions are, they're symbolic of decadence, right? Kali Yuga. They're there for a reason. They're there because people want it, supply and demand.
You can say that, but that is also lack of understanding, right? Supply and demand, yes. I mean, again, it's not like a fashion thing that, I choose and pick, which is what we see. Like many celebrities, some years they'll end up putting like, like not hijab, but something similar to what the men's put on their head, and they'll be like, I convert it into this, that. So people can do that. But at the end of the day, it is a lot more to do with one understanding your true self, knowing who you are and trying to be who you are, right? If you don't understand that you are not this body, but you are the soul, doesn't matter any of the path you choose, it's not going to get you where you need to. But if you understand that, you could be in any of those paths, but still get to where you need to get to.
Yeah. Yeah. But they're still paradigms. They're religions for a reason. But anyways, Sanatana Dharma is the original way, right?
Sanatan Dharma is, the term itself is that the religion or dharma which is coming from eternal time. And that is the eternal relation we are referring to. So Sanatan means time immemorial. Dharma means knowing who you are. A chili's dharma is to be hot. A soul's dharma is to be serving supreme. So when we are doing that, doesn't matter if you fall into one subcategory or the other subcategory. In a way, you have to look at the similarities and move forward with them rather than pushing yourself individually and fighting. And that is what we have to understand. The four limbs, the Kshatriya, the Brahmana, the Vaishya, the Shudra, they cannot function individually. In the same way, when it comes to, yes, people following one path and fighting over the other, it's not based on, something which they think is right. It has to be based on what actually is a fact. So, yeah, there is a supply and demand of people not wanting to understand the true meaning of what is their true service, and then they can kind of put them in whichever category they like, right? So that is there.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Thank you for your questions.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So I'm really new to ISKCON in general, so this is my second time here. I just wanted to ask a very basic question, like why Lord Krishna? Why not Lord Shiva? Or maybe Lord Parashurama or any of the incarnations of Lord Vishnu? Why does ISKCON focus on Lord Krishna?
Yes, thank you. That's a nice question to ask. So, the first thing we have to understand that we are not going based on popular belief system. Okay, it's not something that because, so many years back this individual decided that, Prabhupada decided that, I like Krishna, so I'll focus on Krishna. Right? There are multiple layers to answer your question, but at a very simple level, what we have to understand is that there is a deeper meaning to understanding who Krishna is, as in why Krishna is called Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then there is also a proper understanding to how the respect has to be given to all the different incarnations too. Now, it's like if you have an access to the lead individual of the country, let's say Prime Minister or President, would you want to approach him directly if you are in good relation to get there? Or would you go to the Guelph or Kitchener councilman? Whom would you go to? You follow what I'm saying? If you want a favor for something, or if you want to do something which is going to be helping you out in the problem that you're stuck with, whom would you relate to? The council member? But if you can have like someone above the council member whom you know, if we can make the problem solved just by a phone call, would you consider that?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And that's the consideration which is mentioned here. So, and that's why I was saying it's not a popular, like because my belief system accepts this or others' belief system. There is a proper way in the Shastra, it is established that Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. That Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And to the point that it is not to be taken in a derogatory way that, everyone else is below him. But it has to be understood in a way where we see the actual position of who the Supreme Person is. And that is Krishna. And when we understand that, that's why we worship him. Because, yes, I could go to Lord Nrsimhadev, I could go to Lord Parashurama, I could go to anyone for that matter, but I'm choosing someone in particular which is at the level which is quite where I can get my services taken care of. Now again, that's not with the mood that oh, I want to go there just to get this. But it's at a mood of like, okay, water the root rather than watering the leaves. So when it comes to Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, Lord Indra, we have so much of respect and value for them, and we are not going to neglect them. But there is a proper way of respecting everyone. And the proper way of respecting the Supreme Person and proper way of respecting Brahma, Vishnu and Mahesh, there is some importance to that. So the way we do it is in a way we keep in accordance that we cannot please 33 million Devi Devatas, right? If you don't know, there are 33 million. 33 crore is what it is said, Devi Devatas. Even if you do that one Devi or one Devata a day, you won't be able to kind of in your one lifetime able to please all of them. So, more importantly, that's why we water the root rather than we watering the leaves. We don't end up, having like multiple directional focus. Our focus stays a little bit on the Supreme. That's how we end up kind of worshipping ISKCON. And this is also where I definitely want every one of you, if you have this question in your mind, you should read more Shastras to get better understanding. And that is where you can get a little bit more clarity and realize that, it's not about my belief system versus yours. It's much more to do with what is a true fact that we are trying to follow. So in Bhagavad Gita, if you don't have a copy, I would like you to take one. But in the introduction, you'll come across disciplic succession. And the disciplic succession that you see, you'll be seeing that it starts right from the personality called Krishna. So that's how we understand, and if you want to read more in depth how incarnations work. So Parashurama being, a kind of incarnation, Dasa Avatar, he's one of the Dasa Avatars. But if you can also relate, Parashurama at the same time when he is present, but he fought with Lord Ram. He also had his, meeting with Lord Krishna. So different incarnations can be present at the same time as well. So that is where you'll understand better that how Vishnu Tattva works, how Guru Tattva works, and how also different creations kind of move forward. Creations are where we can understand where tertiary, secondary, primary, and in all different creations there is to be, the engineer. The engineer is none other than Lord Brahma. Then there is the one who maintains, Vishnu. And then there is also one which is the one who annihilates, and that's Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva is a son of, do you know? Whose son is he? Lord Shiva? Sorry? I cannot understand your language, so that's why it's hard. Lord Shiva is the son of Brahma. Okay? Brahma is someone who doesn't have any parents. His parents are none other than just Lord Vishnu, from whose Nabi he comes out. After he comes out, he has to do creation. So when he has to do creation, that's what he established, tapa. He was there performing tapa to know what his position is and what he should be doing. So at that time, when he was doing the tapa, he was given an instruction to start with the process of creation. And that's where the creation takes place. So he had 4 sons, Chatur Kumar. Those 4 sons, they decided we are not going to continue the progeny. So we cannot create. And they remains in a 5-year-old body without wearing any clothes, just as an innocent child, and continue the devotional service. So when that happened, Lord Brahma becomes angry. And that anger is Rudra. That anger is the anger in which Lord Shiva is born. And that's why Lord Shiva comes with that angry mood. And that's why he's given the service, which is to do the pralaya or annihilation. So that's how it is understood. And this is we talking about only the, like current yuga, or not yuga rather I should say, current, the planetary system. But it goes further up. And that's how we understand how the different personalities ultimately ends up going to Lord Krishna. And if you want a very simple answer, Bhagavad Gita chapter 10, you can read. Lord Krishna is mentioning something quite specific regarding his position as well. So I'll leave you with that. Hope that helps. Okay? At least if nothing, it creates a little bit more curiosity for you to take it to the next level. Okay? And thank you for coming to ISKCON Waterloo. We hope you can come more often. Hare Krishna.